What's crappin'? It's Uncle Rico Storytime. Could be the last one. By the time when you're watching this tomorrow, yours truly will be under the knife. It's no big deal. The doctor said it was a complicated surgery for a simple procedure, but there's general anesthesia involved. Anesthesia. Anastasia is a stripper. She probably won't be involved tomorrow. You never know. The guy who's taking care of me is a wild card. Yeah. This is the final conclusion, the saga, the 2-year saga of As the Hand Turns. Almost 2 years ago, I had a little tiny bump show up on the palm of my hand, and it grew into about a quarter-sized bump, and then it just kind of dispersed, and my whole hand started kind of swelling up. So when it happened, I emailed my healthcare provider. I said, hey, this weird bump showed up on my right hand. I started an email off. It said, right hand pain. So this bump showed up. It's gotten bigger. My hand hurts. Spasms. It's weak. Can't even pick up a plate now. So they said, we're going to send you in for an x-ray. I went in for an x-ray. Didn't hear back from them. I said, hey, what are the results on the x-ray? Didn't hear back from them. Said, what's going on? I don't know what I should be doing about this hand thing. Didn't hear back from them. Sent another message. Hey, what's the diagnosis on this hand? They finally replied, the x-ray was negative. So I replied with, okay, what's our next step? This thing isn't going away. It hurts. It's growing. It's getting worse. We're going to send you in for an MRI. I think it was an MRI. Was it MRI? I don't know. We're going to send you in for another test. That gets done. I said, okay, how's it looking? No reply to that message. I pop off 8 emails in a row with no response. Finally, I say, hey, it's been a year now. This thing's getting worse. I'm just going to get drunk and cut it open. My buddy's here. If anything comes out of there, we'll try to catch it. So I get a response that says, we don't even know what hand you're talking about. I respond to that with the subject heading of this email thread says right hand pain. I finally get an appointment to see a specialist. She shoots me with a steroid shot into the hand and says, come back whenever. After the steroid shot, like a couple of days later, it was back to normal. So I hit her up, I think it was like 6 months. I hit her up after a month or two. I was like, look, it's not going away. I'm doing all this rehab. They put me through PT classes. I would go for an hour and do all these exercises. When I was there, this guy says, oh yeah, I've heard a lot of people with this thing. I think you have a ganglion cyst in there, and you're probably rupturing it because the pain, I would do this. And they showed me that I should be pulling my thumb out to relieve the pressure and everything like that. But they think that when I was doing this, I probably ruptured the ganglion cyst, and it would keep coming back. But either way, I go in and see the specialist, and he says, I know you're not. I know you don't want to hear this, but you have really bad arthritis. And I go, dude, well, how does arthritis just show up? Like, everything was fine. I had no problems. And then all of a sudden, a bump showed up. Like, and he goes, man, I'm looking, you got the hand of a 70-year-old. You got bone spurs and everything in there. And I'm like, well, I don't do anything. I'm a writer, so I write. I got a head injury, so I have memory problems, so I'm always writing stuff. I hit the heavy bag, but I would have it in both hands. So he's like, it is what it is. So he gave me these PT classes. PT classes didn't get any better. I go and I see this other specialist. She shoots me with the cortisone, the steroid shot, and tells me to come back. A while later, a couple of months go by, I go, this isn't getting any better with the therapy. So she says, all right, we'll give you another MRI, this one with contrast. They shoot some stuff in my blood. So she brings me back for another appointment, and she's sitting there looking at my stuff, and she goes, hold on a second. And she goes and she gets her supervisor, and he comes in and he looks at it. And he goes, yeah, blah, blah, blah. She goes, I just didn't see it in the first MRI. And he goes, yeah, well, we're going to have to remove this bone. And so finally I'm like, excuse me, guys, what's going on? And they're like, oh, he goes, well, she'll tell you, what's up. But, so he goes back talking, and again, he says, remove the bone, and he takes off. So I said to the lady, okay, what's going on? And she goes, oh, here it's called a RTML surgery. I'll show you a link for a YouTube video. And so she goes online and starts pulling up all these links. She clicks on one, and we're watching it for a few minutes. And she's like, oh, this is for a leg. I go, it's fine. Can you just tell me what's going on? He said something about removing a bone. And she says, well, let me just say that it's a very complicated surgery for a simple procedure. And I go, that doesn't do me any better. Like, we're still in the same spot. And she goes, well, I'll email you these links. And I go, that's all right. Just what's the name of the surgery? I write it down on a piece of paper. So I go and I Google it later, and it's like this thing for arthritis for older people. I've talked to 2 people that had it done. They both said they felt great afterwards. So I'm excited. I gotta go see the super specialist now, and so that's another month. Show up for this appointment. I'm an hour. I'm there early, so I gotta wait an hour after my appointment. I was there for like an hour and 15 minutes. He comes in. He's got his shirt. The super specialist, Dr. Mayo, comes in. He's got his shirt, half of his shirt untucked. He's sweating. He's red-faced. I mean, I'm like, okay, he's late for a reason. Like, he was fucking shit up. Is one of those days, But he really wasn't listening to me at all, which pissed me off. He comes in, he looks at my chart for maybe a minute, then he comes over to me. He goes, which hand is it? I go, this one. He goes, does this hurt? And I'm like, oh my god, yes. And then he goes, does this hurt? And I'm like, holy shit, yes. And he goes, okay. And so he goes up to this cupboard and he goes, have you had a steroid shot? And I go, yeah, they gave it to me right away. It didn't have any effect the next couple of days. I was right back to not being able to light a lighter. And he's like, and he's still doing his stuff and everything. And so he turns around, he's got this big ass needle. my fucking hand is right there. Like, you're not going into my spine. But he's got this big ass needle. And I go, hey, I don't want this shot again. I mean, if it's gonna help me out, great, I'll take it. But I want a remedy. This is a short-term fix. And he goes, And he goes, which hand is it? And I go, this one. And he goes, put it down on the table. And so I put it down on the table, and he leans over with the needle and just puts it right in my hand. Doesn't hold my hand down or anything with his other hand. He just reaches over this table and with this needle and like pops it in there and bing, injects this little bubble of steroid in my hand. And he goes, all right, come back in 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm like, fine. So I go out, make another appointment for 8 weeks out. Go into that appointment. He's 45 minutes late. At this point, I'm pretty angry again, but I just want it done. I'm going to play a game where I see how few of words I can say to him. The first time I waited for an hour and 15 minutes and I got about 5 minutes with him. This time I waited 45 minutes and I got about 3 minutes with him. So he comes in, brings me in, sits me down. He says, he looks over my record again for about a minute, and then he says, steroid shot didn't do any good. I said, nope. He goes, looks at the record for a bit. So you want to go with the surgery then? And I go, yep. And he goes, okay. Clickety clack for maybe another minute. And then he goes, okay, there'll be a call next week from the anesthesiologist, assistant to run you through, questions and everything. And then from there you'll be scheduled for surgery, and they'll go everything at that point. You can go out front and they'll finish up with the appointment. And I go, stand up and I go, open or closed? With the door. And he goes, closed. Close the door. 5 words. But I'm thinking, alright, great. At least my surgery is scheduled. I can get this fixed. We go out. We make the schedule for the surgery. It was a follow-up with the general anesthesiologist was a week later. They called me, and they're notorious for giving me the wrong information or the wrong time. So I'm like, I always write everything back. And then with my memory issues, I always read it back multiple times. So I read all this stuff back. I get a call one day, and they're like, hey, are you in the hospital? I'm like, no, why? And they're like, well, you have this, follow-up with I go, that's tomorrow. And she's like, no, it's, the 21st, 10 o'clock. I go, no, the guy said 22nd, but whatever. So I said, all right, well, yeah, let's make another appointment. I got to get in there. And she goes, okay, they'll call, scheduler will call. And so scheduler called like 2 or 3 hours later, and made me an appointment for a month. So my appointment was just recently. Everything's green lit. We went over everything, scheduled the surgery. When I was with the general and anesthesiologist assistant, I said, hey, so who's the surgeon? She said, Dr. Mio. So something that I really didn't care about now is a lot more worrisome. Again, it's such a simple procedure. They just cut open the hand and apparently take some bone out. But I don't know. He didn't tell me if I'm in a cast, if I'm in a splint, how long I'm going to be out, what I got to do for the wound. I'm sure they're going to cover that right beforehand, but then they knock me out and cut me open and then send me home all looped up and then probably give me some pain meds. How the fuck am I going to remember how to take care of the wounds? So I'm really not happy about who's doing the cutting, Surgeon Slash. But I am happy to finally, after 2 years, get my hand taken care of, because man, it hurts. I can be like zipping up a zipper or just doing the simplest thing and I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. Super productive today. I thought the last couple of days I've just been thinking, I'm like, okay, what can I not do one-handed? So I like clipped my nails, my fingernails and toenails really short. I gave the dogs a wash. I did all the tinkery little tiny stuff, bingity dink, fidgety midgety. I did all that stuff. It was a pretty productive day. And then we're going to get after it tomorrow. I had a buddy handyman here who was going to pick me up at night and hang out. I got him hooked on this show Shoresy, so we were gonna hang out and watch Shoresy, and he was gonna make sure I don't do anything stupid. I'm willing to bet I'm not all looped up and I'll be fine, just because of my tolerance. I've had 3 surgeries where they put me out, and all 3 I came to. I had another my married couple buddies who live together. They were gonna give me a ride there because I gotta be there by 6, and then I need somebody to pick me up at 11. I can't leave my truck downtown because it won't lock. So these guys were gonna drive me to the VA hospital. It's like 15 minutes from their house, 20 minutes from their house, 25 maybe. But it's 20 minutes from my house to their house, and then I gotta drive like down away from the place. And so we were hanging out for the Packer game on Sunday, and they're like, all right, well, you're just gonna drive to our house and leave your truck here. And I'm like, well, I don't want to leave my truck anywhere, it's unlocked. And they're like, well, you're good, you're good in this neighborhood. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. And then I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to Uber to pick it up, so maybe I'll just Uber, to your guys' house. And then they're like, okay, cool. So I was gonna Uber to their house. They were gonna drive me to the hospital. I was gonna get the operation. They were gonna call this guy Josh to come pick me up, and Josh was gonna basically babysit me for the night, before until I went to sleep. And then I think he relapsed. He had a birthday coming up. He did tell me he relapsed because he came over today, but I suspected he was. And now I'm back to the point where he's a very good dude and very loyal, and he makes the right decisions, and I trust him. But if he's relapsing and stuff, then I feel like I'm going to have to start distancing myself from him, unfortunately. But I talked to him. He did relapse. He said it was his birthday, and he was hanging out with his buddy Lewis. And then Lewis's girlfriend came over, and she cooked dinner. And he never got an invite to dinner. And then he went in, and all the figuring at least there'd be scraps there, or some leftover food, and everything was gone and cleaned up and everything. So he was a little offended, and ended up going for a walk. I said, "Did you fuck up?" He's like, and I go, "You relapsed, didn't you?" And he goes, "Yeah, but I made it home." I go, "I don't fucking care if you made it home, man. It's just another notch, another mistake." And he's like, "Oh, it's fine. It was just a little one." And I'm like, "Yeah, but they're frequent as shit. They're all the time." So But so I went to this hockey game. I was talking to my buddy Jason. I said, yeah, all this, shit. And I said, what are you doing Wednesday? He goes, nothing. You need a ride. And I kind of filled him in with everything that was going on. Then he reminded me that he owed me some cash. So he's like, because I told him, I was like, I'll give you $50, and half an ounce or something. He's like, man, I already owe you money. He's like, I'll just do it for free. So, he's gonna actually come over in the morning, pick me up, drive me down there. It's close to his work, so he's gonna actually hang out at his work and then pick me up and drive me all the way back. So, and then he's gonna watch a little Shoresy with me. But I've had three different surgeries. I've always had very high tolerance for everything. Even when I was a kid, like I could drink alcohol. When we graduated high school, some preppies that I never really hung out with, who were very, very cool guys, once I got past my judgment issues, um, had kind of befriended me and invited me to this party that they have at his uncle's house. They have all these drinking games and everything like this and contests, so they invited me over there. So one of the competitions was a beer bong competition. How many beers you can beer bong over the weekend, or was it a night? It was one night. Yes, it was one night. And then the next day was drinking just regular beers. So this first day, I start ripping out beer bongs, and this one guy, let's call him Dan, maybe, was known for winning this competition the whole time, and he was late arriving, and I was there super early in the morning, and they were fired up, and they were like, come on man, let's go. So I did a couple of beer bongs in the morning. I think I was like 6 or 7 up when this guy showed up. He was like, everybody was talking mad shit, and the host's name was Uncle Larry. No, that's his brother. That's Mark's brother. Uncle Mike, I think. I don't know. No, it doesn't matter. Um, but this guy shows up, and he got aggressive by the end of the night. But I always, all night long, I held him off like 2 or 3 beer bongs. I had passed out at one point and woke up. He was within 1 or 2, and I started bam, 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 ripping off beer bongs. And we got to, I had 22, he had 20. And this guy, I think Uncle Mike maybe, he brings out a cooler of Boone's Farm at the end of the night, because everybody's been heavy drinking. He's like, all right, time for dessert. Like, we're winding down. And so this guy does a beer bong to get to 21 or 20, and then I think he like walks into the forest, and I think he pukes. I do another beer bong and puke, and then do another beer bong, and he's like, fuck it, I'm done. So I beer bonged 24 beers that day. Had the Boone's Farm Strawberry Fields. I got to choose because I was the winner. But the next day, they wake me up in the morning, and they're like, hey man, they're doing the single beer competitions. They fill up these beers and then they keep track of it, which is just stupid, because they're like, you go out to the wherever, and it's just dumb. Well, so this guy starts in on me. He's pissed off from losing the beer bong competition, and my buddy Mark's older brother, Stinky, goes absolutely ape shit. This dude beer bonged an earthworm, which was one of the grossest things I've ever seen, because when the earthworms get in water, they elongate. So we filled this beer bong up, and then we dropped the earthworm in, and you could see it like going all the way down, and you still couldn't see the tail. And when it got to its mouth, it was still all the way up there, and that's when he beer bonged it. And then he was up in the rafters, like trying, like balancing, walking, and the moms got wind of the aggressive nature of everything and just shut it down. But they took my old high school PE shirt that I had defaced and hung it up on the wall for a little while, which was cool as a tribute. But yeah, as a 17-year-old, I went in there and fucked shit up. But I've always had a high tolerance. These three surgeries, I had two hernia surgeries. One surgery I had as a kid, and I remember my parents were talking about me. I came out of it, and I was trying to reach for my junk during the surgery, and they had to hold my hands down while they finished up the surgery. And then my sister found out about it and was making fun of me for jerking off, and I didn't know what it meant until I found out later. But when I was in the Navy, same thing. I go under for a hernia surgery, a discharge. My discharge physical found a hernia. So I'm getting ready for this hernia surgery. I got two corpsmen, this big old black dude and this really cute Latina. And I'm kind of and then when she would leave, I was probably trying too hard with the big dude, because my plan was once I get out of surgery, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, bro, what's up? Are you no cool? Can you?" So I get out of surgery and I'm like, "Hey, what happened to the?" And he goes, "Oh, we cut her loose, man. She had enough today." And I go, "Oh, that's too bad. I wanted to ask her out." And he goes, "No, I don't think that's gonna happen, man." And I go, What's so funny?" And he goes, "Oh, it's nothing." I'm like, "Come on, man, what's up?" So after some prodding, he said that I kept reaching for my junk, and she had to hold my hands down, and then I would fight her so much that the big dude had to hold my arms down, and then he couldn't hold both of them, so they ended up having to strap my hands down. He said she was laughing so hard she was a distraction. I mean, they were all laughing, but they sent her home. So he was like, "Yeah, I don't think." I was like, Jesus Christ. So then the other one was when I got out, I had impacted wisdom teeth. And the guy, I knew the guy, he used to come to my bar, and that I bartended at, not the bar that I owned. So he's like, "Come." It was in Omaha. It was at this Creighton. It's a school for dentistry, but it was super cheap. So he goes, "Come to the school. We'll hook you up." I go, "Okay." So I go in there. He comes and he checks on me, and he's got the mask stuff, and he's like, "Guess who's in charge of your laughing gas?" So he's like, "Boop boop boop." He's like, "There you go, man." He puts this mask on. He's like, "I'll be back in a minute," or whatever, however long. He comes back. He goes, "Are you still with me?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he goes, "What?" And I go, "I'm fine." And he goes, "Ploop." And he goes, "Okay. We'll see about now." And I can hear the gas go. And he leaves. He comes back. He goes, "What's up?" I'm like, "I'm still good, man." He goes, "What the fuck?" So he goes, he gets the supervisor. Supervisor comes up. Supervisor actually hits the mask. Pops it up a little bit more. I can hear the hiss go. He goes, "We'll see about now." He starts talking shit. So puts the mask back on me. They leave, comes back. He's like, "How you feeling?" I'm like, "Good." He's like, "Okay." So after the surgery is over, they're like, they wheel me out, and I go to get up and get in the, well, I forget whatever, but out of the wheelchair into something. They're like, no, no, no. And I'm like, guys, I'm fine right now. And they're like, no, people always think that, but you need, you got to stay in the wheelchair. I go, guys, I already got up and stretched my legs when you guys weren't looking. Like, I'm fine. And they go, no, you just think that. And I go, I came out of it halfway through the surgery. Like, I remember the surgery. I remember you guys. I could hear my bones breaking up, and I could remember you guys picking them out of. I could hear the sliding of and feel it without any pain. And they go, no, you patients think that all the time. And I go, well, which one of you guys is in trouble with the wife? And they're like, what? And I go, one of you told that really stupid joke about you being in the doghouse. And the one guy's like, dude, that was like early on in the procedure. And I go, yeah, I told you, I came out of it halfway through. And I'm like, can I stand up now? And they're like, well, you can try it. And I'm like, can I walk out of here if I take it slow? Well, you really got to walk out and go in the wheelchair. And I'm like, all right, let's do the wheelchair, please. So I've just always had this tolerance. So, but I think I'm going to tell them about it so they can crank it up. And I've given my buddy Lazanovich the green light to mess with me. So maybe if I survive this, I'm going to be fine. The only thing I'm worried about is there's a whole lot of nerves and ligaments and everything down there. Dr. Mio, hopefully you were just frazzled because you were banging one of the nurses and you're just a really kick-ass, arrogant surgeon. If for some weird reason I have a weird thing with the sedative anesthesia. Love all of you fuckers. And Shorzy is the greatest TV show on the intertube. I don't even know what it's called now. Everything's streaming. It's the best show on the streaming. Shorzy is the best show streaming. Alright, congratulations if you made it this far. We're 32 minutes in. Share, like, subscribe, do all of that, because yes, we are still doing the charity. It's going to be awesome. We're going to help dogs. We're going to help veterans. It's going to be kick-ass. And you really don't want to mess bipolar bears. It's going to be fucking hilarious. Alright, everybody. Peace out. We'll see you on the flip side.